The NBA season is finally back, the regular season underway, and the Chicago Bulls will make their season debut against the Detroit Pistons. We're going to talk about it and more right after this. What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome back to a whole lot of Bull. I'm Troy. You can follow me on Twitter at Bulls_Troy, but you can follow the show at whole lot of Bull. So the NBA season is finally underway. We had tip off today, or last night for you guys in the States, with the Oklahoma City Thunder on ring ceremony night, getting a double overtime victory over the Houston Rockets. And as well, the Golden State Warriors are getting a road win over the Los Angeles Lakers, who are out without the flop James for the next few weeks. And now it's opening night for the Chicago Bulls. At the time of recording is actually technically tomorrow for me, but as you guys will see this, it is opening day for the Bulls in over in the US. But before I get into that, I just want to catch up on a couple of things quickly that have happened over the last few days since my Zach Collins injury update. So the Chicago Bulls have released their City Edition uniforms for the 25-26 season. And, everyone's obviously seen them by now, and I gotta say these are very, very nice. Now, obviously, going back, now this is a black version of the original Chicago Bulls City Edition uniforms, where it was a white with a Chicago cursive, and now it's a black edition, so kind of mixing together the original City Edition uniform with the second. I believe it was the second one where it was the black jersey with the Chicago flag on the front of the jersey. I'd actually be interested in seeing another Chicago flag uniform possibly next season and make it a white version so it actually looks like the Chicago flag, or if it's the Illinois flag. You guys over in Chicago and Illinois can correct me. Is it actually the state of Illinois, or is it the city of Chicago? Let me know. But these jerseys are very, very nice. I gotta get me one of these. The Chicago cursive, it's an all-time classic. I'm pretty sure we'd all love to see it back in some sort of permanent rotation, like with the standard Bulls red. But these are nice. You got the four Chicago stars down the side of the uniform. These are very nice, very clean. Yeah, I definitely want one of those. And just a quick little thing as well. Now, obviously, the Chicago red pinstripes have been released for sale over in the States. Can't buy them, can't get it over here in Australia yet. The Chicago Bulls store is not shipping to any outside of the US and Canada. The NBA Australia store at this point doesn't have them available for sale, even though they've got Philadelphia, Minnesota, and Dallas, and a number of other teams of their new statement edition jerseys for sale. Can't get the Bulls red pinstripes one yet, so I'm quite pissed about that. I want one ASAP, and I want a Martis Brazellus one. And now it's gonna figure out which player of the on this new City Edition uniform I need to cop, because I need both of those jerseys. I need it last week. I need it now. All right. So the other bit of news to catch up on as well quickly is obviously Coby White will be really reevaluated in 2 weeks' time. Apparently, he suffered a little bit of a minor setback in his ramping up over the weekend. Apparently, after a training session, he felt a little bit of tightness, so the Bulls have just shut him down. Even though the medical update from the Bulls says that Kobe has resumed on court basketball activities and continues to make progress in his ramp up phase for a right calf strain be reevaluated in 2 weeks. Well, when they come out and say that he's got some tightness after a training session, like you're gonna stop him from training. So obviously they're gonna do some sort of. I believe they mentioned still gonna do some weight training as opposed to actual basketball activities. But this is an issue where I don't mind the Bulls whatsoever taking their time with Kobe. We all know that calf strains can lead to Achilles injuries, and that's something the Bulls and Coby White do not want to risk whatsoever. It's just not worth it. Um, for the team or for Kobe. Not that forget the contract year. I don't. Everyone want to goes, oh, you can't risk this in the contract year. No, you can't just risk this period whatsoever. I don't care if he's coming into a contract year. That should have nothing to do with how you approach the recovery from this injury and make sure that he's okay to resume basketball at 100% when he is back on the court. So no issues with him how they're going to approach this. If he needs to be out for a month, then so be it. We need Kobe White back at 100% at no risk of tearing in that Achilles as a result of not looking after this calf strain properly. All right, so just want to get in quickly into a little bit of a season preview. Now, obviously, we opened up the season today against the Detroit Pistons, or as Horace Grant came to know them, the straight up bitches. Even that's going back to the Bad Boys era, back in the after the 90, what happened in the early 90s. That as far as us Bulls fans are concerned, that rivalry is still there. Even though Detroit for a long period of time were just fucking pathetic, and playing against Detroit was just an automatic W. Now this is a team that has finally started. Last year, finished sixth seed in the Eastern Conference, and they're a team on the rise. Look, got a lot of good young players. Obviously, got their star in Cade Cunningham. They've got a great young center in Jalen Duran, who is a guy that I would love to see. Now he's entering restricted free agency at the end of this season. I would love to see the Chicago Bulls go target Jalen Duran and Utah's Walker Kessler. See if we can outbid Detroit or Utah to get one of those two guys. Um, I think one of those two guys is definitely a type of center that we definitely need. Like obviously, Walker Kessler is more of a shot blocker, but Jalen Duran is a guy who's going to bring some physicality and some enforcement at the center position. Brings a lot of toughness. Obviously, he's still got a bit to work on in his game as well, like to well round it and improve in some areas, including his defense. Whereas Walker Kessler is a guy that the ball should absolutely target. 7 footer, has decent mobility for a big guy, can stay in front, block shots. So those are the two guys that I would love to see the Bulls target in restricted free agency. Never, ever, 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 ever try and trade with Danny Ainge, because not only is he going to try and demand 5 first round picks from you in any deal, he's also demanding your firstborn child in return for any deal as well. So don't ever try to trade with Danny Ainge. It's because that's a guy who well and truly overvalues his assets, and somehow manages to pull it off and gets even more assets in return. So don't ever, 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 ever trade with Danny Ainge. Fuck that shit. Now, how I think the Bulls season is going to play out. I know a lot of us discussed it. You know, if you haven't seen it last week, Bulls Without Borders. Myself, Phil from Just Another Year Chicago Bulls, Neil from C Red UK, and of course Jamal from Bulls Central. We all had a nice chat there about what we think's coming for the Chicago Bulls. So Go check out Balls Without Borders. I subscribe to that channel as well if you haven't already. If you haven't subscribed to mine, hit the subscribe button. Make sure you don't miss any future episodes as well. Hit the notifications. Um, now I'm going to give. Now there was a discussion on Balls Without Borders about what kind of win total could the Bulls potentially look at. So I'm going to say here on my show here that I think the Chicago Bulls are going to win 43 games. Now, I know there's a lot of cynical Bulls fans who just think that the Bulls are destined for another 39 win season, think that the Bulls are just stuck in mediocrity forever. Well, I'm not one of those guys. Because I can see a path that the Chicago Bulls and the front office are actually on. Now, everyone wants to say, oh, it's the same old Bulls, and all that bullshit. It's not the same old Bulls. This now everyone needs to remember is still now while we did have Zach Levine for a large portion of last season up until the trade deadline, was a whole new team. This was a team that started trending as heavily leaning into the youth, whereas the previous team that had 39 wins was very veteran happy. DeMar DeRozan, Alex Caruso, Zach Levine, Nikola Vucevic. Now, obviously, Nikola Vucevic is still here, and hopefully by the end of the season, come by next off season, he is no longer on the roster. But this is a team that is very much leaning into the youth movement. You got Josh Giddey, who's just turned 23 years old. Marcus Bazelis has just turned 21. Noah Senge, the youngest player, or the second youngest player in the draft, we just had the only player that was younger was number one pick Cooper Flag. So he's part of your future core. So you got a good, Coby White is still only 25 years old. I'd assume he's 24, 25. There's a good group of young players who, and I know a lot of Bulls fans are going to, yeah, well, this is AK's newest specialty. Young players with experience. Well, I'm glad I'd rather have young players with experience winning 39 games, and these are players that are only going to continue to improve as individuals and as a team, as opposed to guys that are definitely on the wrong side of 30 and they're on the downward spiral of their careers winning 39 games. There's a massive difference in there regardless of whether people want to see it or not. Now, a lot of Bulls fans are still going to be on that whole the Bulls need a tank. They need to blow it all up and just shoot for the bottom and do everything they can to maximize their chances of getting number one pick. We've seen a number of times over the last few years, tanking is not the answer anymore. Now, it was all well and good when the lottery odds at the number one pick were 25%, and now it's flattened out to 14.3% for the bottom three teams. We even saw this last draft that the bottom three teams that finished the end of last season did not end up with the top three picks. The Dallas Mavericks, who finished in the play-in, got the number one pick. The Atlanta Hawks the year before in the play-in, number one pick. So I know a lot of these fans are going to say as well that, well, even if you don't necessarily never land the number one pick, you're still gonna if you bottom out and just tank, you're still gonna end up with a high draft pick as opposed to 10, 11, 12, and that is factually true. Like if you finish in the bottom three, you're generally not gonna you won't be able to select any lower than 6, I believe it is. I'm now call it what you will. I'm a fan who does not want to see my franchise deliberately try to lose games whatsoever. We all know the players and the coaches aren't going to do that. But I'm not one who wants to see my front office deliberately try to gut a team and just tank for the bottom. I know that's just me. So I know everyone's got their own opinions on that, and that's totally fine. You can create arguments as to why that should be the way they should be doing it. I don't know. I just don't want to see my franchise, and one being the Chicago Bulls, deliberately trying to be bad. That's just not how Chicago should be whatsoever, and that's just my opinion. Now, a lot of things need to happen for the Chicago Bulls this season to get to 43 wins. Obviously, health plays a major factor in that, and also we've been dealt blows already with Coby White being out for the first couple of weeks, at minimum. Obviously, the reevaluation is in 2 weeks, so maybe he may only miss the first 6 games of the season. He may miss some more. Zach Collins, our backup big, who's obviously throughout the course of the preseason, was definitely our best big man. We've lost him for at least 4 weeks. His real evaluation from his wrist surgery is in 4 weeks' time. So he's gonna miss a big chunk of time there. So you're missing 2 very important players to start the season also, and it's already a rough schedule to open the season. We open up against Detroit, one of the best young teams in the Eastern Conference. Then we go down to Orlando to face a very good, very young Orlando Magic team. You got the Atlanta Hawks back at home after that, who have added in. On paper, they look good. I just don't know if I can buy the hype around, adding in Kristaps Porzingis. They got Nikhil Alexander Walker, I believe it was, from Minnesota Timberwolves. So they've added some nice pieces, but ultimately, is it just going to turn into same old Atlanta and Trey Young and his baby balding head? Uh, Looks like a lollipop that's been dropped on the carpet and picked up some hair, loose fibers. Is it just going to be the same old Hawks? And then we got the Sacramento Kings at home as well. So return of Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan. Um, Now, if I'm going to give you my predictions for the first, let's let's go until November 12th when we play the Detroit Pistons again. So home and against Detroit. Now, I'm a very optimistic Bulls fan, but can be very realistic as well. Now, I think this is a Bulls team that's gonna, like probably Martis Buzelis has said, and I think Josh Giddey has said it as well. They're gonna surprise some people this year. So the first handful of games. All right. So today's game against the Detroit Pistons, I think we win. It's going to be a very tight game, but I think the Bulls pull out a win. On the road against the Orlando Magic, I'm going to put that down as an L. At home against Atlanta, I'm going to give that a W. At home against the Sacramento Kings, I'm giving that a W. And then we have back-to-back games against the New York Knicks. One of them being the that shitty ass NBA Cup in-season tournament trash. Th I will put both those games down as Ls. So what are we looking at here so far? I think it's like 3 and 3 I've got us for the Bulls. At home against the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, who knows what the health of Joel Embiid is gonna be like, Paul George. You just don't know with this team, so I'm gonna put that one down as an L. So what have we got? 4 and 3 so far. At home, another NBA Cup game. Again, we're hosting the Milwaukee Bucks. Put that down as an L. 4 and 4, and then against in Cleveland against the Cavaliers, that's an L. So we're at 4 and 5. San Antonio in Chicago, I'm putting that down as a win. So 5 and 5. At in Detroit, I'm gonna put that down as an L. 5 and 6. At in Utah, that's a dub. So I think was it what are we 6 and 6 now? In Denver, that's an L. In Portland, that's gonna be an interesting matchup, and it's obviously, shout out Pads. It's the first of the 2 games against our teams, for the season. This one being in Portland, Martis Buzelis, Tomari Kamara. I'm sorry, Paddy. I'm just going to call him Kamara because that's going to be interesting battle there with Martis and even against Shaden Sharp. Now, shout out to Kamara and Shaden Sharp who just signed multi-year extensions, and shout out to our fellow Aussie Atlanta Hawk Dyson Daniels who just signed a 4-year, $100 million extension as well. Actually, got the exact same deal as Josh Giddey, $25 million a year per year. Not it's not just annual average salaries; it's $25 million flat per year for 4 years. So shout out to them. So, but hey, I'm putting the game against Portland down as a dub. Another home game, another cup game against the Miami Heat, dub. Washington Wizards, dub. New Orleans, this is going to be a very interesting one as well. How are they meshing? Is Zion Williamson still going to be healthy? Now, for all those guys that are pumping themselves up on the Zion Williamson stock, um, give that man needs to be proven very relatively healthy for 2 years before I believe in the Zion Williamson stock. So close game, dub. Charlotte Hornets. Actually, I think I've gone beyond where I said I was only going to go up to Detroit against November 12th, and I've gone beyond that. So I think the Bulls are going to we're looking at the first couple of weeks of the season. I think the Bulls are going to be sitting around that 500 mark, maybe a little bit over. Um, But I think the Chicago Bulls are gonna surprise a lot this season. Now, what are some of the things I need to see? Martis Buzelis, now from what we've seen in the preseason tournament so far, he we need to see, is this the real deal? Is Martis Buzelis really about to take that step? And for this course of the season where we're without Coby White, whether it be the first 6 games or whether it's longer than that, is Martis going to be that guy? Is he gonna be the alpha dog offensively? Is he going to be that go-to scorer? Another thing I need to see, and we saw absolute trash Nikola Vucevic in the preseason. Is he going to prove that, hey, he was just coasting along and not taking it seriously because it was preseason? Or is Nikola Vucevic about to show that he's well and truly fallen off a cliff, and Billy Donovan needs to make a decision quickly and the organization needs to make a decision on him quickly and get this guy out of town? Or are we gonna see regular old Vooch who gets his 18 points, 10 rebounds? Can he maintain that 40% shooting from beyond the arc like he did last season? I doubt it. Vucevic's shooting over the last few years seems to go very up and down, so he's due for a downturn. But we need Nikola Vucevic to be Nikola Vucevic, not whatever the fuck that was in the preseason. Josh Giddey. Now, with obviously Coby White being out for the first couple of weeks at least. Now, he did take a big step up in his offensive performance at the end of last season after the trade deadline with Zach LaVine gone. Now, with Coby White out for a bit, we need to see him step right up as well. And primarily, the offense is going to be in Josh's control. And obviously, now his main thing is to distribute the ball. He's a facilitator, playmaker. He's not a score first kind of guy, but definitely need him to put a lot more emphasis in his scoring to open the season and take some burden off of Marta Buzelis and what you require from Nikola Vucevic. Isaac Okoro. Now, who knows? Now he's obviously sat out that last preseason game with some knee soreness. Is he going to be right to go against the Detroit Pistons? There's been nothing said that he's a game time decision or he's a day to day or anything like that. He was just on injury report. I believe it was yesterday or the day before. Is he going to be right to go? And if he is, he needs to come with the physicality right from the get go. I need to see him bring effort, intensity on the defensive end. Bring bring to this team what they traded you for, or traded you in for Lonzo Ball. He has to bring that defense, has to bring that physicality on defense and offensively as well, hit the boards, and then offensively get out and run in transition, hit those open corner threes when Giddey sets you up or I set you up or Trey Jones sets you up. We need to see that from Isaac Okoro. And then Kevin Huerter's another one I need to see take a step up as well. Now, before I get into Kevin Huerter, I'd assume is going to be I'd assuming. Trey Jones, we know what we're going to get from Trey Jones. Now, Trey Jones is a great little point guard. Um, I'd assume we all love this guy, jack of all trades. It looks like he's ready for a break, like a real breakout season. After having that shoulder injury last year. But Kevin Huerter, especially while Coby White is out, I need him to step up and fill that shooting void that Kobe is leaving. And this is where I'm going to get to who I would have as my starting lineup while Kobe White is out. Now we saw in the preseason that Billy Donovan was running with Trey Jones at the two while Kobe was out, but but at the same time Kevin Huerter was out injured as well. I think in that first yeah in that first preseason game against Cleveland, he started Josh Giddey, Kevin Huerter, Isaac Okoro, Miles Bazelis, and Nikola Vucevic. That's a starting lineup I would run with to open the season if Kevin Huerter is good to go, which he played in the last preseason game, so I believe he will be. Need Kevin Huerter to be out there as that shooting threat, help open up the lanes for Josh Giddey because Giddey's not the greatest of shooters. He still needs to prove that he has, you know, how he shot the ball at the end of last year was not a fluke, and this is a sign of things to come for Josh. Isaac Okoro, we all know he's not the greatest of shooters, but he needs to be out there for his defense. And as I mentioned before, Isaac Okoro needs to hit those open threes in like those open corner threes. Martis Bazelis. Now, this is another important factor as to why Kevin Huerter needs to step up and be that shooting threat. Opens up the lanes for Martis Bazelis as well. Now, Martis is, as we've all seen, he's got those handles where he can slice and dice his way through the defense as well. And especially with that extra muscle that Martis has put on, like he can physically handle his way in through the defenders as well. And obviously Nikola Vucevic, he needs to continue to be that 3-point threat. So I so Kevin Huerter is a big factor for me in this one. He needs to be able to move off the ball, keep running off screens, back screens, dive cuts, all that sort of stuff to help keep things opened up on the floor and keep the defense spread. So those are some of the things I'm looking forward to start the season. Ultimately, I just can't wait to sit down tomorrow and watch Chicago Bulls basketball. The season is finally here. No more talk, just action. Let's see what the Bulls have got. I'm predicting the Bulls are going to get 43 wins this year. And yeah, don't I think they're a sneaky chance to potentially get that 6 seed. I I'm not gonna predict that they will finish 6th just to end the regular season, but I think they're a sneaky chance, and I think this is year that if we finish in the play-in tournament, again, I fucking hate the play-in tournament. This is another bullshit concept that Adam Silver's brought in, which David Stern would be rolling in his grave over. Same with the in-season tournament crap. But I think this is the year that the Bulls make it through the play-in if they finish in that play-in spot again. All right, guys, that's it for tonight. So good morning, Chicago. It's opening day for the Bulls. It's finally here. All right, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Well, like this video. Leave some comments down below. What do you agree with me with? What do you disagree? Let's have a chat about it. And yeah, I can't wait to watch this game tomorrow. I'll bring another. I'll bring a video tomorrow after I've watched the game. Now, just a reminder as well. For those who don't know, for those of you that have followed me on Twitter for a few years now, you will all know that when it's a work day for me, when the Bulls are playing, come tip off time, I'm off social media, notifications are off, the whole shebang. I don't want to know anything about the game once the tip off has happened. Don't know want to know anything about it until I've actually gotten home from work and watched the game. Um, so no deal now, as my mate Paddy will call it. It's the gentleman's agreement. We do not discuss what happened with our team's games until we know the other person has actually watched the game in its entirety. So until I've watched the game tomorrow night, my time, Bulls fans, see red, be good.